Hello, and welcome to the video today. I hope you are all doing great, and let's get right into it as we cover today's topic of Mr. Perfect, CURT HENNIG. Curtis Michael Hennig, better known by the ring as Mr. Perfect, was an American professional wrestler who was born on March 28, 1958, and died at the young age of 44 on February 10, 2003. Many contemporaries, pundits, and fans regard him as one of the best professional wrestlers of all time, and he appeared under his own name for promotions such as the American Wrestling Association, the World Wrestling Federation, World Championship Wrestling, and NWA Total Nonstop Action. Hennig was the son of wrestler Larry the Axe Hennig and the father of Curtis Axel. Hennig made his debut in 1980 and went on to win numerous belts in both Pacific Northwest Wrestling and the AWA that decade. He rose to prominence when he defeated Nick Bockwinkel for the AWA World Heavyweight Championship in 1987, and his 373-day reign was the seventh longest in history. Hennig later joined the WWF, where he feuded with Hulk Hogan for the WWF Championship and won the WWF Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship twice, becoming the longest reigning title holder of the 1990s. In addition to winning several titles in WCW throughout the late 1990s, Hennig challenged for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship on pay-per-view. He also fronted the West Texas Rednecks, a stable and country music group that recorded the popular satirical song Rap is Crap. He won the WWC Universal Heavyweight Championship during his time with the organization in 2000. Hennig made a brief return to the WWF in 2002, finishing as one of the final three men at that year's Royal Rumble. Prior to his death on February 10, 2003, he headlined several TNA pay-per-view events and was in contention for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Wade Boggs, a former Major League Baseball player and personal friend, inducted Hennig into the WWE Hall of Fame after his death in 2007. Hulk Hogan once said, "Everybody would check their egos at the door when they came to a building where CURT HENNIG was, because you couldn't outwork him, outshine him, or outperform him. He was the best of the best." If you agree with the statement made by Hogan, please subscribe and I will tally up at the end to see how many agree. CURT HENNIG was born on March 28, 1958, as the son of professional wrestler Larry the Axe Hennig. Hennig was childhood buddies with wrestler Rick Rude. They attended Robbinsdale High School in his hometown of Robbinsdale, Minnesota, with Tom Zenk, Brady Boone, Nikita Koloff, John Nord, Road Warrior Hawk, and Barry Darsow, all of whom became professional wrestlers. Hennig, often known as Cool Kurt, began his career in the AWA on January 30, 1980. Hennig began his WWF debut in 1981. His first victory came against Johnny Rodz. He established himself as a promising young talent, competing against the likes of Playboy, Buddy Rose, Greg Valentine, and Killer Khan. He eventually found himself in tag team battles with another young upstart, Eddie Gilbert, who was the son of a wrestling great, Tommy Gilbert. On April 27, 1982, Hennig and his father Larry won the NWA Pacific Northwest Tag Team Championship by defeating Rip Oliver and Matt Bourne. He went on to win the titles with Buddy Rose and Scott McGhee in 1983. Between 1984 and 1988, he made occasional appearances for the organization. During this time, he worked for New Japan Pro Wrestling in several territories, including NWA St. Louis, Central States Wrestling, and the Continental Wrestling Association. Hennig rejoined the American Wrestling Association in 1983. He soon rose to become one of the promotion's top talents, capturing the AWA World Tag Team Championship with Scott Hall on January 18, 1986, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, by defeating Gorgeous, Jimmy Garvin, and Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal. Later, he began his solo career in the AWA, eventually defeating the great Nick Bockwinkel for the AWA World Heavyweight Championship at Superclash on May 2, 1987, with the assistance of Larry Zabrisco and becoming a villain in the process. Hennig, along with his father Larry the Axe, would have a lengthy battle with Greg Gagne and his father, Vern Gagne. He has been associated with Medusa Miceli, the AWA World Women's Champion, since December 27, 1987. Hennig and Medusa joined the Diamond Exchange, a stable led by Diamond Dallas Page and comprising Bad Company and Colonel De Beers. Hennig would hold the AWA World Heavyweight Championship for about 53 weeks until losing it to Jerry Lawler on May 9, 1988. Hennig, like many other AWA stars at the time, including Hulk Hogan, Rick Martel, and the Rockers, departed the AWA for the WWF. Hennig returned to the WWF in the middle of 1988. Hennig returned to the ring on the September 11th episode of All-American Wrestling, defeating Enhancement star Ron Ravishad. On the October 1st episode of Superstars, vignettes began airing on WWF television, during which he was repackaged with a new character of an arrogant braggart villain who claimed to be able to complete difficult tasks perfectly, earning the nickname Mr. Perfect, which would become his ring name in 1989, and the use of his real name would be phased out. Did he deserve the title of Mr. Perfect? Hit the subscribe button if you believe he did. He showed himself as exceptional in athletics and everything else he did. These videos showed him hitting half-court, three-point, and no-look basketball shots, bowling a 300, racing the table in billiards, tossing and catching his own Hail Mary football pass, sinking a long golf putt, hitting home runs, and making bullseyes in darts. In these vignettes, Hennig was joined by stars from other major league sports, including Wade Boggs from baseball, Steve Jordan from football, Felton Spencer from basketball, and Mike Modano from the National Hockey League. Hennig made his debut as Mr. Perfect on the October 4th broadcast of Primetime Wrestling, defeating Jim Brunzell. His first major pay-per-view match was at Survivor Series 1988, where he competed in a 5-on-5 elimination tag team match with co-captain Andre the Giant, Rick Rude, Dino Bravo, also co-captain, and Harley Race against co-captain Jim Duggan's team of Jake Roberts, also co-captain, Ken Patera, Tito Santana, and Scott Casey. Perfect survived the match with Bravo. The next year, he competed in SummerSlam and defeated the Red Rooster in a squash match. He remained undefeated on television for nearly a year, defeating mid-card wrestlers such as Brian Blair, Ronnie Garvin, Coco Beware, the Blue Blazer, the Red Rooster, Jimmy Snuka, Tito Santana, and Bret Hart in 1989. On the October 7th episode of Superstars, Perfect began working with the Genius, an arrogant, poetry-reciting academic from the Brother Love show, and began a feud with Hulk Hogan for the WWF Championship. Their feud escalated up after Genius defeated Hogan by count-out with Hennig's assistance in the November 25th Saturday Night Main Event, and the duo stole and destroyed Hogan's title belt backstage. Perfect and Hogan wrestled on live events, where he lost to Hogan, but they did not compete on television until January 15, 1990, when Hennig received his first opportunity for the WWF Championship against Hogan at Madison Square Garden. This was his first televised match against Hogan, and he won by disqualification but not the title. At the Royal Rumble, Perfect did a run-in attack to Brutus Beefcake, sparking an animosity between the two. Later that night, Perfect competed in the Royal Rumble event as the number 30 entrant. He eliminated Rick Rude before advancing to the final two, when he was ousted by Hogan. Perfect's undefeated streak came to an end when he lost to the Ultimate Warrior at Madison Square Garden. His first loss in singles combat on national television came against Brutus Beefcake at WrestleMania 6. Hogan evened the score with Perfect in a bout on April 28th Saturday night's main event, where Hogan pinned Perfect for the first time on television. Perfect competed in a tournament for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship in May 1990, after former champion Ultimate Warrior vacated the title after winning the WWF Championship at WrestleMania 6. Hennig was scheduled to win the tournament for the vacant championship by defeating Jimmy Snuka in the quarterfinals on the May 5th episode of Superstars and two-time Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Tito Santana in the finals on the May 19th show. After winning the title, Perfect hired Bobby Heenan as his Perfect manager and successfully defended the title against Santana on July 28th Saturday Night Main Event. Hennig was supposed to defend the title against Brutus Beefcake at SummerSlam following his loss to Beefcake at WrestleMania, but Beefcake was injured, so the Texas Tornado replaced Beefcake and challenged Hennig to a title match for SummerSlam on August 11's episode of Superstars, which Perfect accepted on the following week's episode. Perfect lost the championship against Texas Tornado at SummerSlam. Hennig was picked to head Demolition as the Perfect Team against the Warriors, Ultimate Warrior, Texas Tornado, and Legion of Doom. In a 4-on-4 elimination tag team match at the Survivor Series pay-per-view, but his team lost. Do you think that Mr. Perfect deserved to be champion longer? Or do you think the Texas Tornado was more deserving? Hit the subscribe button if you think the Texas Tornado deserved it, or hit the like if you think it should have stayed on Mr. Perfect. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today, as I am cutting it close to my time for premiere. I will be back next week at the same time with part 2, so I hope I see you then. Take care and thanks for watching.